So what we're going to practice, what we're going to practice right now is going to be your tone, right? Tone and volume. He can understand what the sensation means. However, it has to be paired with tone and volume, right? So if we see him, he's about to, oh, he kind of already knows what's going to happen. But what I want you to practice is telling him no, right? So
she's so strong.
it's unfair for you to, it's unfair for us to yell at him when he hasn't done anything wrong. So in order for us to know that it's not your fault, go ahead and put him back in the corner over there. I want you to go ahead and just let it out. Just say, no, whenever you're ready.
Like with him? Or
no. Just you by yourself, yeah.
Oh, God. I have to yell?
Yeah, just like how I did it. So you remember, so he's very much an audible dog. What's that?
What if we all say?
Then that means you'd have to probably get more volume, right? So having the volume and the capacity to tell him exactly what it is that he needs to do is what's going to actually make him stop, right? If you don't have that volume, or if you don't have that, at least that tone, so let's say we don't use that volume. What I want you to do is, nope, something like that. So even if you're not getting that high volume, you're still getting that same tone, right? So go ahead. This is the fun part, right? This is the fun part.
No.
Close. Very good. Very good. Here. So that way that you don't know how to, so that way you don't feel too uncomfortable, I'm going to show you what I mean. Can I borrow Dory? Can I borrow Dory? Thank you. All right. So when I was in the military, one of the first thing that they did to us when we got into there, I'm pretty sure I've probably told you guys this before. However, when it comes to tone and to voice, we have to do whatever it is that we can to communicate to our dogs that either you should obey a command, that you did something wrong, or that you did,
Gus Rayburger.
So either I'm going to give you a command, you did something wrong, or you did something good, right? Now in the military, it's really easy for us to do the command part. We're like, hey, sit, down, right? So that's the stuff that's easy for us. When it comes to the praise, that's the hard part, because we have to make our voices go really high. And on the first day of my class, what ended up happening was they told us that when you go home for your homework tonight, we want you to go watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Are you familiar with it? You know how high he gets when he's laughing and he's doing all those. They said, we want you to come back and we want you to do a high-pitched voice like that as much as possible, because your dog, what's up?
Are you done with her?
I can be. Okay, so just give me one more minute. So when it comes to doing the praise voice, that's what a lot of the guys suffered with, because they're like, wait a minute, I have to do this in front of all these people, and I have to be this high-pitched voice. However, if you can't use that, if you can't do what the dog needs you to do in order for them to understand that you're happy with them, then they don't want to. In fact, we had 2 guys get kicked out of class because they refused to do it, right? So you have to be very comfortable switching between the tones and the voices, right? So let me show you what I mean. Come. No. Come. Sit. Down. Dory. Sit. Good girl. Sit. Good. Sit. Good. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Come on. Dory, sit. Good. Down. Nope. Down. Good. Ah! Down. Yes, good girl. Good girl. Hey, good girl. There you go. Thank you. Yeah, her foot got stuck. Sit. So think about how fast I move through those tones. Very, very high, very, very low. But once again, emotion is taken out of it. I just have to be able to produce the tone, because they need to know what it is that I'm actually telling them that they did right, that they did wrong, or that they should do something else, right? So When I gave her those tones, what was she doing automatically? Automatic sit, automatic this. But when I started playing with her, did she look like she took it personally? No, she was happy, and because she knew exactly what it is that I wanted from her. That's the same exact thing that most people struggle with in the civilian world. You're okay with doing that. Oh, that's a good girl. That's a good baby. But when it comes to the nope, sit, that's the hard part for a lot of people because you think you're going to offend your dog. You think your dog is going to get mad, or you think your dog is going to be like, "Oh man, mom's abusing me," right? However,
they just can't get the tone.
right, because we haven't practiced it. Right. So if we haven't practiced it, how are we going to get better at it?
Practicing.
Right. So right now, what we're going to do is we're going to do 5 no's. All right. So yep. So I'll go 1, 2, 3, and then you'll say no, and we'll do it again. All right. So 1, 2, 3.
No.
Close. Try and get it. So think of your no almost as a bark, right? Because that's how they communicate. Short, very concise sounds. That's why when I say my no, it's a no, almost like a bark, right? Where it's very very sharp, very deep, as well as pretty loud, right? So we'll try that again. 1, 2, 3.
No.
Good, better. A little bit more volume, right? So 1, 2, 3.
No.
Good. 1, 2.
Wait, do I need to go louder than that?
Yeah.
Oh.
1, 2, 3.
No.
Now keep that exact no. 1, 2, 3.
No.
1, 2, 3.
No.
1, 2, 3.
No.
So when you go back home and you watch this video, right? If you were to take out my counting and you were to hear your no, it should sound like a soundboard where you're saying, where the no sounds the exact same every single time. And I was listening to it and it sounds the exact same every single time. So every time you tell him no, make sure you're using that tone. Because if you start saying no, do you think it's going to hit him quite as hard?
No.
Or if you say no, right? All of those things add up. If I want him to understand the context of my no, I have to give it the same exact tone, same exact force, plus it has to sound the same, right? And that's exactly what we want him to do, because then he understands that it's not, the longer and the more we use those terms, the longer and the more that we use those commands, the more he understands that it's just how mom communicates. It's just how dad communicates. And when they ask me to do this or they request me to do this, I have to do it, right? So that's why we have that no. So now what I want you to do is it's going to be the same thing with sit. You want your sit to be the same way every single time. Sit, sit, down, down, instead of a request. Sit. Oh, shit. Oh, right? He's not going to get it, right? We have to make it as consistent as possible. Even the sound has to be consistent in order for him to understand us. So right now, I'm going to have you say sit, and I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, then you're going to say no. And I'm going to say 1, 2, 3, sit, 1, 2, 3, no. All right, so 1, 2, 3.
Sit.
1, 2, 3.
No.
1, 2, 3.
Sit.
1, 2, 3.
No.
So your no sounds slightly different than it did than the other one, right? So you want to make sure that that tone is the same, right? So let's try it again.
Well, wait, what if we forget? Then what?
The reason why, that's fine if you forget. On the offset, you're not going to be perfect, right? However, what we're trying to do is we're trying to make things as consistent as possible, right? So in the very beginning, yeah, there's going to be some kinks that we get out there. That's fine. But as long as we keep working towards that tone, he's going to start saying, aha, I get it. Mom has said this the way before in the past, and she's continuously getting better and better and better at it, right? That's almost like saying, well, what if I'm riding my bike and I fall over? Then you get back up and you keep riding, right? And I think a lot of us, what happens is we kind of forget that mentality when it comes to our dogs. We think, sit. Oh my God, he didn't sit. No, right? But that's all within the practicing. The more and more that you practice, the better and better that you get at the actual movements and the better that you get at the actual words. So you guys' homework tonight, you guys are going to have all of your family say nose, sits with a command, right? With a command tone, as well as with your praise voice. Yeah, who's a good girl? That big high pitched high tone. Now you're going to notice that you and your daughter are probably going to be really good at the high pitched high tone. Dad's probably not going to be so good at it, right? So, but the thing is, that's his struggle. Your struggles are going to be the command. Your struggles are going to be the correction. He's probably not going to struggle too much with that. He's probably going to be the same way, where he's like, no, sit. And it's also going to be the same tone, same spread, everything else, right? Where yours, or his as well, is going to be, right? It's going to be really awkward for him because we're not actually used to actually doing it, right? So so for example, also when I was learning Italian, right? I couldn't. A lot of the times I would read it, but when it came time to speak it, because I wasn't practicing in the mirror every day, I would fumble over my words all the time, right? I was like, I know what I'm saying, I know what I'm supposed to say, I know how it's supposed to sound, but because I wasn't actually practicing saying it, the muscles in my mouth weren't used to actually saying it, right? So I'm sure that you guys can understand that as well, that it's more than just saying, okay, I know that I should say no this way. I actually have to practice saying no this way. So that way I stay consistent. And if you guys can get that down, it's going to make things 10 times easier on you, because he's going to be like, oh, I get it. Mom always does this motion. And when she says no, I need to stop and sit. And if you can keep that consistent, it's going to get faster and faster, where all you'll have to say is no. And you'll notice you won't even have to do that, right? Because your dog is going to follow the path of least resistance. What do I have to do to, 1, not get corrected, 2, get some kind of treat out of it? And if you keep showing him this way, this is what I want from you every single time, then he's going to gravitate towards that. However, you have to practice doing that. Every time he comes up to you, you have to practice. Away, no, sit. Good boy, all right. And then he does the same thing. No, sit. You have to practice. You have to practice the motion. You have to practice the actual words. Because if you don't do that, you'll know what to do. However, you'll run into that. Well, no, and he'll keep scratching. He'll keep doing all those other things. All right. So, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns? I'm gonna be looking forward to it. I want you guys to videotape this too when you guys are at home. All right, it's your turn. No, okay, it's your turn, and it's gonna be something that's funny. However, that funniness is also gonna help you remember I should actually be practicing this out loud. And if I can practice that in front of my family, when I'm out in public, it makes more sense, because I know a lot of the times if he's being kind of wild out in public, 1, we freeze up, we don't really know what to do. 2, we don't really know how loud I should be saying something. However, if it's in your mind, no, sit. If you did that one time and he actually does it in public, people are like, man, that dog's on point, right? So the more and more that you practice it, the more and more that you get him used to those body movements, as well as that volume and that language, right? The easier and easier it will be for him to do that in private as well as in public. All right? So, do you guys have any questions, comments, concerns for me right now?
No, I gotta go work on my tone.
All right, so I will go ahead and we'll get this video done and uploaded for you. All right?
Thank you.
No problem.